and welcome to Darvanalee Designs Studio. My name's Nicole Reed and today we're going to make this cute little pouch for our toothbrush and toothpaste for when we're traveling. So let's get started. Okay, so there's just a few things that you're going to need. The first thing you need to do is head over to our blog, which is linked up down below, and that will have all the cutting instructions and the sizes of everything that you need, as well as your supplies. So you're going to need some outer fabric and some lining fabric, and they can both be the same if you want, and you can just use a fat quarter for that. You're also going to need some heat and bond iron-on vinyl. We've talked about this in the past, and you can find this on our website. It's got all the instructions on the back, but I'm also going to show you how to use it today as well. You're going to need some pinking shears, you're going to need a cam snap, some wonder clips, a marking device, whether it be chalk or a friction pen, a rotary cutter, some thread snips, a quilting ruler, and something to poke your corners out because we have to turn this right way out. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to put the heat and bond vinyl onto our exterior and lining. Because this is going to be used in a wet area, I want to make the fabric water resistant, and that way it can be wiped down if it gets toothpaste or anything like that. Okay, so I've got my pieces of iron-on heat and bond vinyl already cut to size and what size I need them to be. You can see here that one side is quite shiny and the other side has a grid pattern on it. So basically what we've got to do is we actually have to peel this vinyl away from the paper, just like so. Now it is a little bit tacky on the back. It doesn't stick to everything, it's just tacky, just to make it a little bit easier for you. All I do, especially when I'm working with long pieces like this, I just basically lay it on and align my raw edges, and then I'm able to just pull the paper away from it as I'm going down, and just aligning as I'm working down the strip. Now I've already got my fusible fleece put onto this, and of course we can't iron directly onto that vinyl. So the paper that comes with it, basically what you do now is you actually put the shiny piece, the shiny side down of the paper and the grid side up, and now you can use that to iron it in place. And that way, just making sure that you're aligning, and that way you won't get any of the vinyl onto your iron. Now it takes about 20 seconds to adhere, but that will depend solely on your iron, whether it's a hot iron or not. I usually have it on around about a medium heat, and that seems to work as well, quite well. But all the instructions are on the back of the heat and bond iron-on vinyl package. And if you're not sure, you can always just do a test. Okay, so that is now on the fabric, and I will just let that cool a little bit before I peel it off, and then we'll put some on our lining. So it's cooled enough now, and I just go to the corner, and you can see there the paper just peels away, but the fabric has now got the vinyl on there. And I just peel that off, and then I can get rid of that rubbish. I'll set that aside, and now we'll do the lining. So again, with the fabric facing right sides up, we grab our piece of vinyl, we separate it from the paper, and as you can see that is quite easy to do, and then we put the tacky side down onto the right sides of the fabric, aligning up our edges, and then we just pull away paper, just line that all up, making sure that your fabric is all smooth underneath. Then just grabbing that paper, and with the shiny side down and the grid side up, we can now iron that into place without getting any of it on the bottom of our iron. And as I said, it takes about 20 seconds for it to adhere to the fabric, depending on your iron. Just let that cool for a couple of seconds, and then you'll be able to just peel away the paper, and you can see that the vinyl has stuck to the fabric. I'll set that aside to cool for a moment. Now basically what we want to do is we want to just curve the edges here. So I usually have my pin cushion, and I'm able to just pop that up, and then I just grab my pen or chalk marker, make a mark just like so, and then I repeat it on the other side. And then I'll grab my scissors, and then just starting from the straight edge, I just follow that line to the next straight edge. And then I do the same for the other side. And now I can use that as the template for my lining piece. So lining the top edge up here and each side, I can then just get my rotary cutter, or you can mark it with your pen, that's entirely up to you, and just cut off those edges. Okay, so we have our vinyl on both of our pieces, and now what we're going to do is we're going to place them right sides together, making sure that everything is lining up. Then we're going to grab some wonder clips and we're going to clip that around, and then on one of our long sides we're just going to leave about a 3-inch gap so we can turn it through. Okay, so now we're ready to head over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew. So starting here, we're going to do a back stitch, and then we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, being careful on the curves that we take it nice and slow, and then when we come back here we're going to do a back stitch. Okay, so we've top stitched that closed, and I've just grabbed my pinking shears and I've just cut on that curve, and that'll just make it a little bit easier for and give it a nicer finish. And down the bottom I've just taken my scissors and just reduced some of that bulk out of the corners there, being careful not to cut into my stitching. Okay, so now we are ready to turn that right sides out. Now, being careful not to grab the vinyl and separate it from the fabric, and being as gentle as possible, we're going to go up to the corner and we're going to start turning that right sides out. Okay, and this is where I usually get my poking tool and I just push it out. Now it looks a little bit crushed, but what I do is I get a cotton cloth or an applique sheet, and I can actually press this to get rid of all the creases. So I'm just running it around the edge that is curved, making sure that it's all out and sitting properly. And I just give that a good finger press there and fold that side in as well. That's our opening. And just put a couple of wonder clips on that so I know that I've got to make sure that that's sitting even. Now, to get rid of some of my creases that I've got in that, I just basically get my applique sheet and I just place that over it. I grab the iron and I give that a good press. Wait for it to cool, and then I can remove the applique sheet, and I know that all my seams are pressed out and I've got rid of, you can see there the difference, that this side looks a little bit crinklier and this side looks a lot smoother. So I repeat that all the way over, and just making sure that you've got all your seams poked out, and I just work my way down my panel, just taking a little bit at a time, being careful not to iron directly onto the vinyl. And I'll flip that over and do the same thing for the lining. So now that that's cooled down a bit, we're just going to fold this up, and we'll get our toothbrush and toothpaste to measure it. So it's about 6.5 inches up, and then we can pin that into place. So now what we want to do is just remove the toothbrush and toothpaste, and we just want to leave the toothbrush in there for just a second, just sort of centering it, and then we're going to bring this down. So you can see there that the toothbrush is in there, and we need to place our cam snaps. So basically what I do is I just want to eyeball this because we're going to top stitch it, so I want to come up at least 1/4 inch away from that. So just eyeballing it, and in the center I'm guessing about there. So what I do is I just grab my little ruler and make sure that it's pretty much even across. So that's about 1.5 inches across that way and 2 inches that way. So I need to come 1/4 inch this way. So that, because it's vinyl, I can just rub that off, and I'm going to put it about there. Okay, so now what I can do is, you can see there I've got a mark, and I'm just going to get my tailor's awl, and I'm just going to put a hole through there, and while holding it in place I will just make a mark below, and you can see there that I've just put a tiny little nick into the plastic, so I know that that's where the next part of my snap needs to go. So I can remove the toothbrush now, and I'm just going to poke a hole in the bottom layer first, not going all the way through, just through that top, this part here, and then I'm going to get one of my heads off my cam snap and pop that through, pushing that down, so you can see there that it's just come through. And then I'm going to get the female part, which is indented, and pop that on. So you can see there it's just sitting on there. And then I'm going to just grab my setting tool, slide that in, making sure that the bottom part is lining up on the head of the snap, and making sure that this part here is lining up to the top part of the snap, and then just give it a light squeeze. And what that does is just crush down that center bar that came through. Alright, so that one's set in place, and then I grab my other one and I go through, make the hole through where I marked, and pop that in, and then get the male part of the snap and pop that on there like so. Again, I get my setting tool and I just give it a light squeeze, and that's crushed that down. So now that they will meet together, and that will keep it sealed. But first what we need to do is we need to top stitch. So what we're going to do is just put a couple of clips in so it all lines up. And you can see there we've got our opening, so we need to make sure that we get that and make sure that it all closes up. And on this side, a couple of clips. And then just starting here on this side here, I'm going to start there using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to do a back stitch there. Now you may need to use some tissue paper here or a Teflon foot. My machine will just let me go through this vinyl without a problem, and I'm going to go all the way down and around, and then we've finished our little pouch. Okay, so there we are, it's all top stitched closed, and now we can put our toothpaste and our toothbrush in there and close that up, and we're right to go. Perfect for throwing in your toiletry bag or your makeup bag, and you won't have to worry about your toothbrush getting all mixed up with your makeup or anything like that. And the best part is that it is totally water resistant, and you will be able to wipe that down and keep it clean. And you can also throw it in the wash. I've thrown my toiletry bags that have this stuff on it, I've thrown it in the wash, and they haven't separated at all. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I really do hope you enjoyed making this quick and simple project to use it when you're traveling, to keep your toothpaste and toothbrush safe and secure, and not roaming around in the bottom of your bag with your makeup. If you like this video today, give us a thumbs up down below, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that little bell icon beside it, and that way you won't miss out on any future posts. And while you're here, why not leave us a comment down below. My name's Nicole Reed for Darvanalee Designs Studio, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.